Ajari, Kajari, perché mi dicesti parola, perché
That's always been one of my favorite songs from your CD. Which one is that again?
Cor ingrato.
Col ingrato. It's in
Yeah,
Italian,
that's
right?
an Italian Neapolitan song.
Well, what does it mean? What is the title
The
of it?
Ungrateful Heart.
The Ungrateful Heart. Col ingrato. Oh, what's the baton for?
Well, I'm a frustrated conductor,
Is that
so
right?
every time I have to speak in public
Uh-huh.
or TV or something, I always have it in my hand because that puts me in control.
Ah, interesting. Okay, Mr. Control. Anyways, join me in welcoming Gil Magno. We're here in South Florida, the International Personal Development Consultant. He's also a master vocal coach as well as a very accomplished musician. Gil, tell us a little bit about your studies or what you teach people. How did you end up getting into this whole self-improvement, self-development philosophy of yours?
Well, I'm a vocal coach, and I found out that, well, my background is classical music. I've had all the instruments. I know all the instruments. I mean, not, I studied them. So it made me realize that the voice is a very easy instrument. It's not like a piano or violin where you have to practice hours and hours. It's a very easy instrument, except that what makes the instrument very, very able to express itself is the person behind the voice. That's the important thing. So once I discovered that, the person behind the voice became my system of teaching.
Okay.
And as a result of that, I then went into self-improvement to make the person better so that the voice can come out and express itself. The voice is the soul, as it were.
What do you call your course? How do you define this type of technology or methodology that you use?
Well, it's the person behind the voice system of instruction.
Interesting. And how many years have you been studying this or teaching it?
Well, the person behind the voice only in the past 10 years.
Okay.
But it's always been inclined in that direction.
And who were the people that most influenced you, would you say? Because I know we're here to talk about the book that you just recently completed, Road to Victory, but I know you've written many other books and many other things. So who were your most influential mentors or people that you found?
Well, the first one was my father.
Okay.
My father was a great man, I think. Great craftsman, great thinker, great philosopher, only had a fourth grade education. And also some of the great minds like Andres Segovia. I met him in person. Spent an hour with him.
Lucky you, huh?
Dr. Frank R. Wallace, the discoverer of Neotech, the 144 Neotech concepts.
Right.
Great man, great mind. Recently passed away. And my great, great mentor, Harry Brown, who also passed away about a year ago. And then other people like Krishnamurti, Dr. Nathaniel Brandon. These were my greatest influences. Yeah, there may be others. Nothing comes to mind right now, but yeah.
All these good. Yeah, I love that one quote you just mentioned from Kristen Earthley. The understanding is the transformation of what is. I mean, you teach all these transformational
those are the
technologies.
exact words. Understanding is the transformation of what is.
And
but don't ask me to go into that because
that'll be 2 more hours.
We'll be here, yeah, right.
All right, I just finally read that book that you've been telling me about for years, the How I Found Freedom in an Unfree World by Harry Brown.
Harry Brown.
Right,
yeah.
that was amazing. That was actually very very, very interesting. Very
that was the opening the first door to my personal freedom.
Okay.
When I say personal freedom, inner freedom. Yeah.
So most of your studies, your teachings, your magnetism, as you have termed it, are for people to develop themselves from the inside, and because of that, then everything on the outside is different then, right? The experience is different. You can then train your mind to achieve anything you want. This is a new year. It's perfect timing for this. I know you've mentioned Webster Edgerly was someone who influenced you a whole lot too. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
he is the actual author of the magnetism studies that I put out
Mm-hmm.
under the name of the Personal Magnetism Home Study Course on All Human Abilities.
Okay.
And I am the expander
Mm-hmm.
and reviser,
Mm-hmm.
because that stuff was written around the turn of the century, so needs a lot of revision in terms of ideas and things like that. And that's being distributed all over the world, and I really love that because people read it and study it, and they change their lives, and that gives me a lot of happiness.
No, that's amazing. And I've seen the testimonies on your website.
Also, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's also in tune with all the tenets in my new book, The Road to Victory, which I hope we're going to talk about.
Absolutely will.
Okay,
Absolutely
very good.
will.
Very good. Just reminding you.
Yeah, no, we can actually find this book on your website, gmagno.com. Is that correct?
/
catalog.html.
.html.
So we'll have it right here on the screen. You'll be able to look it up and understand a little bit more about your philosophy or your teachings or the whole magnetism group that you're the founder of this I Am group. Can you tell us a little bit about that, or what?
International IAMA Association of Magnetists.
Okay.
And that's being formed all over the world right now in a small way, not in a big way yet. But we had the first meeting in Miami actually last night.
Okay.
You were there.
Yeah, no, it was very interesting. I know this has been sort of bringing together of everything you've worked for your whole life. I mean, as you always teach us to find our purpose in life, this to some degree. Explain to us how this connects in. What is your purpose in life?
Well, I'd rather save that when we talk about the road to victory, because that happens to be the greatest key element in what I'm trying to bring out in the road to victory.
This is your contribution.
Yeah, as soon as we get into the book, I'd rather do that.
Do a bit of that. Now tell me something. You've been espousing many views, some of them maybe controversial. How would you combat someone if they thought some of your views were a little out there, or if they thought maybe you were cultish or something? People may get the misconception or the wrong idea that you have New Age thoughts or mystical thoughts, and I know you've many times wanted to distance yourself from those different types of teachings. Tell me how you see yourself. How do you want people to see you?
Well, first of all, I don't combat. Combat doesn't solve anything. If they want to try, I am the first one to tell my readers and my students to not
follow you.
Don't believe me.
Okay.
Try it. See if it's true for you. I'm the first one to say that. It's in my book, The Road to Victory.
Okay.
Don't believe anything I say. It's also in the other seminars. Don't believe anything I say. Try it, and if you will be helped by it, I'm very happy. And about 98% are helped by it. So we know whether something is true or not because it gives pro-survival results. Now, there's a 2% of people in the world that don't want to be pro-survival. They are, in essence, counter-survival. They want to have something to worry about, something to combat, something to fight. See? And those people, I just as soon not have them.
I mean, I think it's
I don't care. They can believe anything they want.
It's an issue of becoming aware. I think I didn't start getting into this whole self-improvement cycle probably until about 10 years ago. I was ignorant about it, but I think since then
you're one of my best students.
Since then I've become more aware of self-limiting behaviors or things that I can do to improve or whatnot or transform, let's say. So I definitely try to take the most positive parts from your teachings and other people's teachings. And actually, someone interesting last night had said there are a few interesting comments from the meeting last night. Someone had said life is a series of inquiries. And so then we look within ourselves and find it again. Or if we go back to the child within when we're not sort of changed by conditioning. And I know a lot of what you try to talk about is to try and get rid of the conditioning that we've had in this society, in this world, and just kind of think for ourselves and reevaluate everything.
When you hit the basis of that child, you see that child is wise. He or she knows everything. And it's true. But the lies that we were fed since childhood, those children inside become silent, totally confused.
It's powerful stuff to ponder. I mean, I think in a lot of cultures and a lot of arenas and schools and in places in society, everybody is taught a specific different way, and we go along with it because that's the way it's supposed to be, I guess. But I think what I like about your philosophy is that you give people the freedom to think outside the box, or you give them tools to sort of.
Yeah, it's the only way. If I give you a tenet to follow, it has to be true for you. You have to see if it works.
Right.
And at the end, what we have is, does it work or does it not work? See?
And I think from what you've espoused all these years, I mean, I know I actually didn't start learning the magnetism things until more recently, but you're trying to improve the world, because if everybody else is improved, there's less wars, less crimes. People are more focused on realizing their own dreams as opposed to being focused on these negative things. So I always found that very positive, and I applaud you for trying to make an effort to help society or try.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because you must understand now, I'm not trying to help the world in the way most people try to help the world. I don't go around trying to change politics or change this or change the school system. Can't be done. You see, the whole fabric of life, the whole basic fabric is based on the lie. Therefore, to change it that way, that way is the emails. Have you mailed to everybody on your mailing list, or get involved, do something? Those things don't work, because practically, I would say 90% of everything that we have in life now and in the past 2,000 years is based on a lie. Don't ask me to tell you what the lie is, because every time I do, I get in trouble.
I'm going to beg to differ with you, but
that's something you're going to have to discover on your own. Anyway,
fine, yeah.
So I wrote this book, The Road to Victory, to bring that out. How to drop out from the rat race and create your own world. And it can be done. At first I thought I was crazy. So I waited a few years to publish it, because I didn't know how it was be taken. But now I don't care how it is taken. All I know, it works for me, and those that have tried it, only a handful, have succeeded. And they're very happy.
I've heard many accounts of other students or on your website. I think anything people can do to better themselves, more power to them. So, well, without further ado, let's get a little bit into the book. Actually, let me tell you again, the name of the book is Road to Victory. It's kind of interesting. I know there's music that is supposed to go along with this book. I haven't quite completely finished listening to all the music. Tell me what the reasoning.
Innovative action.
Yeah.
To have to listen to the music with the book.
Okay. What was the motivation for that? Why do you think people should do that? I think it's very interesting. I'm just curious how you came up with that.
Well, the book is divided basically into 12, which I call 12 sublime realms. Each of those realms is a state of consciousness. Each of those realms is a number. Each number has a significance. Not in terms of numerology and all that New Age baloney, but in terms of reality. In other words, if you act on the significance of those numbers, they will be an effect. Now, I have expanded the effect by suggesting, or in fact demanding, in a sense, that you listen to the music which is prescribed for each realm. Realm number one, now the number one signifies self. One, self. Therefore, you need to listen to Beethoven's Symphony number 1. And you need to listen to it at least 3 times before reading realm number 2. So this goes on and on and on, and all the 9 Beethoven symphonies.
Well, why did you choose Beethoven? How did that?
Because Beethoven was a very genius, is a very spiritual man,
Is that right?
but very practical at the same time. And he knew about the significance of numbers.
Interesting. I didn't realize.
He belonged to, we believe that he belonged to a certain association, of which I have been a member also, that dealt with this significance of the numbers. So if you listen to all the symphonies, when you listen to the Ninth Symphony, the Ninth Symphony is the one where he was the first one to put a big chorus in the symphony.
Okay.
And if you listen to it very carefully, you'll see the ending of a cycle and the beginning of a new one. It's as if going to heaven, as it were.
Okay.
Now, don't misunderstand me, people who are watching. There's no, for me, there's no heaven. That's just a metaphor. So, you will hear the end of that cycle going into a new world. That's right when the chorus starts.
Okay.
Oh, it's just beautiful.
He's...
Then for Sublimes 10, 11, and 12, I have the New World Symphony by Dvorak, and you're supposed to listen to that symphony for all three realms.
Okay.
And that's the story. Because listening to the music continually, I listen to it continually when I'm driving. My grandson was here recently. He came to study classical guitar with me, and every time we went out for cortaditos, he listened to that music. By the third time, he was asking me, put that Beethoven music on.
Wow, he's young though.
He's 15 years old.
Wow.
And he loved it. He loved it, see? So when you listen to that music, you listen to that musical conversation back and forth, and you connect it with what you read.
Okay.
And everything starts making sense. You go into a world of your own that you didn't know existed. And I promise you, if a person does this by the 12th realm, and he does this for 6 months, you will be a changed person.
No, I believe it. I've always heard classical music has, I mean, that's why it's endured so long, because it has that longevity because of its superpowers, I guess, or whatnot, if that's the way to say it.
Yeah.
But
especially when it's connected to the contents of the
reading material, right? Wow, no, that's very impressive. I met your grandson. I thought he was more, like a skater, biker kid. I know he's a musician as well, right? Yeah. No, that's fantastic.
3 days to learn the classical technique.
Wow, really?
And 10 days he learned Bach Prelude in D minor.
Wow.
Villa-Lobos Etude number 1 and Fernando Soares study number 17 in 10 days.
No, I've played piano for
Not
15 years.
scratching the surface. I mean,
that's very difficult.
Perfect, clean.
Fantastic. Yeah. Wow. No, that is
so
fascinating.
In 2 years he'll be a virtuoso.
Perfect. I think that's what always fascinated me about this whole surrounding of your studio and your teaching environment. You've always had that sort of old world, nostalgic ambiance surrounding everything, all the people you've met, all the great stars and the thinkers, and I guess you inspire that in people. And you can hear the passion in his voice when he talks about all of these musical things. Mention again quickly before we start more into the book about art. I know you address it in the book. Art and beauty and how
but before that I want to say my grandson's name is Nick Stratton.
Okay.
Keep an eye on him. He's going to be famous.
All right, Nick.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The connection between, art and how that connects to help bring us to a better place. Why that helps to evolve us as people.
Well, all arts, not just music, although music touches the emotions probably more quickly, and poetry also. But we have the fine arts, which is 7 arts. We call the 7 arts, 7 fine arts. You require great sensitivity, your faculties of hearing, seeing, tasting, so they all come into play, plus a 6th sense, which is the unification of all those 5 senses. And thank you for being so kind to do this, and you asked the right questions, and you're full of life, and I enjoy working with you. This is a wonderful thing.
Perfect. Well, until next time.